You cannot make this up. PlayStation pretty much had only one thing that gamers liked about it, and they just decided to shut it down. Just shut it down for absolutely no reason. What a time to be alive indeed, boys. I know, I know. And can you imagine that Xbox legitimately lost against these idiots? Absolutely mind-blowing. Man, the AAA gaming industry is just absolutely on fire.
It's time to talk about Bluepoint Games. You may be familiar with Bluepoint Games because they made the Demon's Souls remake back in 2020. Really great showing, really cool launch exclusive for the PlayStation 5, and certainly opened up your mind to all the possibilities of what Bluepoint could do as a studio. PlayStation is loaded with incredible IP. What else could they remake?
Feet? I'm kind of just thinking about God waifu feet currently. I'm not gonna lie.
Certainly my brain started to travel a little bit. Like, yo, how's Sly doing? How's Jack and Daxter doing? Like, what other stuff could we remake? Obviously, a lot of people linked Legend of Dragoon over to Bluepoint. Like, there's just a lot of cool, crazy ideas there.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. I completely forgot about that.
So let's walk a little bit down memory lane, which led us to the news today that, yeah, Sony's shutting down Bluepoint, and it's all their fault. Like, this was a totally avoidable situation, but it is a perfect example of complete and utter mismanagement, right? So after we get our hands on Demon's Souls Remake, 1 year later,
I wonder who is the head of Sony, honestly. Who is? Well, actually, I probably not an Indian in this case. But you know what's happening to Xbox boys currently, and oh my god, by the way, if you have not seen that video, go watch it. It's on my channel. It should already be up before this one. But man, if you do not know what's happening with Xbox, or you know and you think it's bad, trust me, you know nothing. I looked into it, and it is way, way worse than you think. Oh my god, sweet Mother Mary Nepo baby Jesus.
we learn right here, hey, Sony's going to acquire Bluepoint Games. I see something like this and I go, yeah, you know what? Perfect fit, right? Like, this makes a lot of sense. PlayStation was close to them. They need a remake studio. Sony really benefits, like Nintendo, heavily off of nostalgia for their old IP. I've talked about this a lot on Retro Rebound, where PlayStation has defined every generation with like new IP. Like for PS4, you got your Bloodborns, your Ghost of Tsushima, right? Like, you got new characters.
Why is he not mentioning Ghost of Yote? Why is he not mentioning Ghost of Yote did so well, right? Best game ever, right? Oh my, why is he not mentioning Ghost of Yote? Strange. Really makes you think.
Of course, Aloy from Horizon, and then there were the rebirth of certain characters.
Aloy, modern Aloy Lamau.
Characters you knew, like Kratos. Kratos has always been a mainstay, but like PS2 was Sly, Ratchet, Jack. PS3 was like Uncharted. You get it. Like, the list goes on, right? I thought Bluepoint was a really wise acquisition. Like, okay, time to bring some of these back. There were easy choices like, let's remake the original Uncharted trilogy. There were also really easy choices like, let's revive obscure IP. There was just a mountain of great options. Well, what did they decide to put this team on after they acquired them? But this right here, God of War multiplayer game. And no, we're not talking about God of War Ascension, which was from Sony.
Yeah, we heard about the God of War multiplayer game, and yeah, it's as stupid as you think.
Santa Monica. So for those who don't know, we learned through a report that Sony had cut 2 live service projects. One was at Ben's studio, who made Days Gone. The other was as you can see here, multiplayer God of War game that was being developed by Bluepoint. So they took their remake studio and put them on a multiplayer game, let alone the worst fit of all time in God of War. Like, I'm down for more God of War, but a multiplayer God of
I am not, okay? The modern God of War is gonna be gay at best, okay? Just that bad. It's gonna be absolutely abysmal. There is no way God of War remakes are even close to faithful. It's gonna be an absolute disaster, and everyone knows it.
War game, when we know how Ascension went.
I mean, IGN's already literally championing the idea that God of War remakes don't need these icky, sticky scenes and whatnot.
Like, this was our big pivot. We'll get into why Sony had such a hard-on for live service in a little bit. But MP First did dig up screenshots of what this game was. And as you'll see when we sift through the screenshots and you see the architecture, Greek-inspired. And this, obviously, when you think about this, okay, we just got ourselves an announcement of a God of War.
Wow, look at that. 5 different kinds of amphoras. Very cool, said no one.
War remake trilogy. And that probably means that Bluepoint may be involved in that. We did only see the mentioning of Sony Santa Monica, but we know Sony Santa Monica is working on like Egypt God of War game. There's Cory Barlog's new game as well. Like, certainly, are they handling all of this? Bluepoint's got to be involved. They already have the assets here. This feels like, I know it's not one-to-one flip, but it feels like you've got the pieces, build something else with it. But you see all these screenshots here that leaked, like they had a lot of, at least, environments done, right? So that all leaks. Now we know that this is the game this team was working on. And I think that's totally on Sony for their live service push. So our hope was, all right, stupid choice, but let's get them back to basics. And by basics, I mean what they were destined to do, which is remaking stuff. Like, they handled Shadow of the Colossus, no problem. Like, again, their fate was written in the stars. This really was an easy win. Why it went this way is like exactly why people such as myself despise live service games to their very core. Funny enough,
Makes
PlayStation
sense.
has admitted in the past that their live service shift is not going entirely smooth, but they're planning.
No shit, they bought Concord for 200 million. Because they thought it's the next GTA. Man, it's really amazing, isn't it?
To learn from their mistakes here. This was in a Q&A session following the company's latest financial results. One caller asked its panel of executives for an update on the current live service plan here. Lin Tao, who is going to be the star of this show here alongside Herman Holst, said that despite the negativity surrounding Sony's live service offerings thanks to issues with Concord and Marathon, she still believes live service games are worthwhile. She says last year
Oh boy.
Concord shut down, and this year Marathon was postponed. So somewhat negative news has been coming out. But if we look at the past 5 years, 5 years ago, live service games were almost non-existent for PlayStation. Now we have Helldivers 2, MLB The Show, Gran Turismo 7, Destiny 2 is included here, and this is 2025. I was like, really? Wow.
Yeah,
so
wow.
we have these 4 live services contributing to sales and profits in a stable manner. This, again, is something that PlayStation really wants. This is why you're going to keep getting your Concords, your Horizons, Hunter Gathering, because this is just what they want for their business. They said as much when talking about a recent Marathon playtest, which if you watched our Marathon video here on...
When he says this is what they want for their business, do you think he's just referring to live services or the reason why they want live services, aka a very predictable revenue stream?
Matty Slab. And by the way, shout out to the comments for that video, like very good, educated takes and kind of helping me right the ship on how I should really feel about Marathon. So I appreciate everyone's feedback on that video. But in reading...
Now I want to read what the hell those comments were. What?
This article from that Marathon video, this immediately popped into my mind because I made a joke about some of Lin Tao's comments here. Tao had previously told investors that Sony was fully dedicated to launching Marathon within the current fiscal year, and then she also talked about the importance of having a live service portfolio. What is most important for us is that live service is recurring revenue, she said. If it becomes a hit, then for years it can bring in revenue. If it doesn't become a hit, then no revenue.
I have been saying this for years since we started this absolute live service disaster, okay? Line go up like this. No, 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 no. Insert Swedish don't touch me zone here moves. Oh, dance moves. That fucking didn't work, obviously. Surprising. Anyway, I have been saying this forever, and everyone's like, I wonder why they're making live services. Gee, maybe ask them, how often am I right? Almost always. How often am I wrong? Almost fucking never. And the times I am wrong, it's probably about the most minor shit ever that literally doesn't even matter. I have been spewing this forever. That they just want a steady income revenue streams because graphs like that go like this are bad. Graphs that go like this, you know? And it's like going a 0.1% up per month. That's the shit. That is called sustainable. That is predictable, and that is perpetual growth. And investors love perpetual growth because that's what investing is. The idea that something's going to be more valuable in the future. So if you have no longer any growth, then Why the hell would anyone pay money for your stock? See? Very simple.
Revenue. It's like, whoa, that's brilliant. So then she continues on. If it's going to give us constant amount of revenue every year, that's the merit of having a hit live service. It's not that we want to have too many of them. That's not what we want to have. So the ideal is called AAA, and live service games will be integrated into our portfolio. So despite saying here that, like, hey, we already...
Yes, and this gives me an opportunity to talk about that thing that I do not mention often, okay? And that is the fact that these AAA companies can actually afford making literal slop. In the sense that they're going to make it, it's not going to be a hit, but it is going to create a steady stream of revenue per month, and that's going to be really good. So their idea is, okay, we're not going to make a hit game. Maybe we are, and if we do, that's going to be massive and amazing and blah, 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 blah. But if we don't, well, we're going to make 5 of them anyway, so, you know, if 2 or 3 of them are at least fiscally sound and not disasters, we still win, and our revenue stream just goes that slightly up constantly because of this. So these people are literally looking at it like as a win-win situation. Make the next big hit, boom. Don't make it, well, congratulations. You are now called Fallout 76. Boom, there you go.
already have 4 live service games that are helping us out in a stable manner. Marathon could add to that. And I originally was of the mindset of they want like just one. Like one of what my co-host on Defining Duke, Lord Cognito, calls the Sinister Six, your Fortnites, Apex Legends, like the big titans that just gobble up play.
I'm pretty sure Apex Legends is not a big titan that gobbles up players at this point.
Players and money every single week. That's what I thought maybe they ended up wanting to go for, and that was it. But now that they kind of address, hey, we have a bunch of live service successes here, I feel like it's never going to be enough because it's just such easy money if it works out. And that's why for all the projects that fail, they just need one to work out and they'll make their money back. So that gets us to this point here, right? We know they got the hard on for the live service. They absolutely screw Bluepoint Games. And that results in this report here from Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, where they have the headline, Sony shuts down video game studio Bluepoint. It's a very simple write-up. Sony is shutting down Bluepoint, the developers of remakes such as Demon's Souls. Roughly 70 employees will lose their jobs amid the studio closure, a PlayStation spokesperson said, writing in a statement, the decision was made following a recent business
Ribozos, welcome home.
Review. Bluepoint will officially shutter next month. So a lot of people, including friends I was talking to, were thinking like, okay, well, hear me out. Like God of War remake trilogy just got announced. Like we also saw PlayStation was absorbing Bungie developers into their fold. Like, maybe while the studio's going away, Sony Santa Monica can take them on, and like they were just working with God of War. Like, I get it. This match made a lot of sense, and I thought, okay, if you're gonna preserve them,
if Sony Santa Monica gets their hands on anything, you know Alana Cookbook Extraordinaire Pierce is gonna get involved, and that's gonna be some good stuff, boys. I ain't gonna lie
at all, and not just have people lose their job. Great, but the fact that we had a greenlit live service God of War game, which absorbed a team's time that they're not built to make that stuff. And then that project was naturally canceled because it was the most obvious flop in all of history. Like, not even if it got announced and we got to see it, everyone would be like, why is Bluepoint working on this? It's a dumb choice. But I'm telling you, dude, this era of Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst greenlit live service stuff will be studied for a while because PlayStation is a really great creator of incredible, memorable games. And they are absolutely the stain on that history.
Are they or were they? Big difference, in my opinion.
They mark what is everything wrong with PlayStation nowadays. The director's cuts, the nickel and diming. I'm not saying PlayStation was perfect by any means, but like they are what was wrong with this push for this generation. Let's run it back on some sequels, nice and safe. And then on top of that, some god-awful calls on live service that have doomed studios. What does this mean for Bend? How is Media Molecule still in business after Dreams? Not that I want these companies to go, but this is the exact conversation we had with Xbox. Some of these companies get shafted and it makes no sense, especially when the headcount was 70 people. Like, I'm not out here pocket watching PlayStation to the point where I'm like, well, couldn't you keep it going? You make enough money. But if you're telling me that, like, I get it, they want live service, so this doesn't matter at the end of the day to them. But, like, if you're telling me people's money for, like, a Crash Bandicoot remake, for an obscure game, like a Legend of Dragoon remake.
It's so stupid, by the way, because he has a point, even though he has no idea that the point is valid and for what reasons is it valid. But this is correct, by the way. All of these giant AAA studios, these juggernauts of the industry, who became famous because of old good games, they have a repetitive, reoccurring revenue stream in the form of they can remake a lot of shit. They can do a lot of that, okay? And they're not actually capitalizing on that. They are treating remakes as this one-time injection between times that nothing is there. Instead of live service slop, they could literally be treating remakes like this injection of like this passive revenue stream, because they have such a portfolio of these things that they could remake. I mean, damn. They could pump out one pretty much every half a year, or every 3 months if they felt like. Xbox could do it, PlayStation could do it, Nintendo could do it. Nintendo will never do it, but everyone else can. But they're just choosing not to do it because they're treating it like this one-time injection thing. Just stupid. It literally makes no sense, but well, most of these CEO decisions in the game industry make no sense.
If people's money wasn't good for a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, like you're telling me people wouldn't show out and give you millions and millions of dollars for that it was not worth keeping this team around at all, and that because they couldn't cut it on a God of War live service game, and that, as written here, following the live service game being canceled, they said it was canceled, and PlayStation at the time said that Bluepoint was determining the studio's next project. So they never decided, and that's what led to their closure. And if that does fall to Bluepoint again, I'm like, what was the rocket science behind figuring?
No, I have no idea how do you come to the conclusion that falls on them. No, Bluepoint has absolutely no say when they quit being a studio, a work thing, or anything, honestly, because they're owned by Sony, which means Sony decides whatever the hell they want to do with them or what they're forced to do. In any case, one more massive L for the gaming industry, as per usual, I guess, at this point. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Place 10 out of 10. Bye!